Nidalee instead of first picking. They first picked a Renekton, Clement. People across the Twitterverse are going insane. It's a B1 Renekton. Red alert.
I don't really like this. I hope that JD Gaming are willing to play this flex. I will say for this split though, only Zoom has picked a Renekton on JD Gaming. So I'm pretty sure that FPX have it in the back of their minds that there likely is some sort of flex potential, but they're actually going to try and test the trap. They're just going to go directly with the obvious counter towards the Renekton. And, you know, I think JD Gaming could be open to going something like the Nidalee early on to get that two-man gank game going. And I don't think that Tian would ever pick a Nidalee, so that's just for show. And JD Gaming, indeed, they are going for an all-in top lane strategy.
Yeah, lots of dive potential onto that Gnar. When Nuguri's in mini Gnar, he is in big trouble, and Zoom's going to be more than happy to pounce on top of that situation. We'll see. Cat versus Bear in the jungle, and then JDG looking for a third pick and might just go towards their support if it's available. But Twisted Fate as well, another pick that JDG have really used to accelerate games and certainly leans into that dive top strategy.
Yeah, this is the Nuguri must die composition. They're not going to get Nuguri getting away with his performance in game 1. They're going to force FPX to swap another top laner. I think that's the game strategy for JD Gaming here. For FPX, I don't think you need to be particularly worried, but you do need to think about what can match mid lane Roam from Twisted Fate. You want something that can actually help out on the top lane, and Sylas is one of those champions, because you can actually just steal the Destiny Gate and follow alongside the Twisted Fate. So that's kind of an interesting answer here. FPX are also setting them up for another 1-3-1. I feel like JD Game are cornering themselves into an early game strategy, while FPX have more outs in the later phase.
Certainly feels that way, and it'll just be the bot lanes to be decided for either side of the board. I would anticipate that Thresh is probably removed in these bans. The Tahm Kench now being removed as well. If you can remove the Thresh and the Tahm Kench, it makes it a little bit more difficult to just go for the hyper carries on either side of the board.
Yeah, I feel like for JD Gaming, they're almost forced to go into all-in early game, so I actually think something like a Varus would work quite well here. But they have banned out most of the support champions that can go well with it. Probably only Alistar on the board. They actually self-banned the Alistar. This is super interesting. I didn't expect them to do that. So I think for JD Gaming, it's either Kai'Sa or Varus going into that. We want something that has a high snowball potential. I don't think a hyper carry actually makes sense. You don't have a front line to protect a hyper carry anyway. So JD Gaming's likely has to go for Jhin Varus, maybe even Kalista, something that's super aggro. While FPX, I think they should just pick for wave clear. Sylas doesn't have the best wave clear early on. Something like Tristana that has late game potential. You can snowball that lane if people try to all in the top lane. I actually really like the Tristana pick here. This is an incredibly smart one. Don't like the Jinx.
Yeah. Well, Jinx individually has a good matchup against the Tristana, which is one thing that can go well for JDG. They're apparently happy to go into that matchup, so Loken gonna go for that one. Now the support pick has to come through. Hilariously, JDG actually just picking in order. There will be no trades here. They've all just picked their own champion, which happens so rarely in competitive. It looks like the Gragas support might be the one they're leaning towards.
I feel like JD Gaming are pulling out this draft a little bit too early. I think this is a when you're down 0-2 type of draft. You need a win out on the early game in your top side, and your bottom lane is operating on a very different power spike. So it's kind of weird to see this draft coming out here. I will say that the Gragas pick is something I do enjoy. It has very, very strong initiation and potential in the hands of LvMao. So they do have the pick on point, and if they can shove a wave in, they can almost always just pick up someone off of underneath their own tower. But in the meantime, for FPX, this is also, I think, a perfectly fine draft. You can have the teleport from Sylas going up into the top lane, you can match, and if people over-index into going for a top dive, you actually have a bottom lane that, with Tristana and Leona, you can actually just rush down the bot lane tower. You can actually answer with a dive of yourself and win out on the tempo that way. So I just feel like FPX have more bases covered. They have multiple different ways that they can deal with JD Gaming's early game, and they have a de facto just better late game too. So JD Gaming really, I think they're pinching themselves into a very, very narrow style of play.
It definitely feels like this composition that we're seeing from JD Gaming kind of feels like an FPX composition, right? Where you've got a mid laner that just wants to get out, dive in the side lanes ASAP, which is kind of the classic FPX style, whereas FPX, much more standard League of Legends and way more options here. But JDG, if there's one thing I will say, when you've got a clear-cut strategy and a clear-cut win condition, if you can execute on that, it can be very easy to just snowball into a win. So perhaps that could be an avenue of success here for JDG as we head towards Game 2.
Yeah, I've said this many times.
For him to impact the rest of the map.
Really, really strong on this one, and this is going back to a tried and true strategy. Nidalee plus Twisted Fate. When it comes to Worlds, that combo is always lurking in everyone's minds. You always have to consider it as a potential if the enemy jungle plays Nidalee, that they can just pull this out. Yellow card into an instant gank is very difficult for most mid laners to deal with. It's pretty much the strongest snowballing composition that you could get. But as we've seen before, I think JD Gaming's composition is very, very much on a timer. They have to be flawless in their execution if they want this to go well. And that first Destiny Gate from Yagao is going to be so critical. I need to see if that one works out. A lot of chances that it's going to go into the bot side. And we do see LWX, smart thing for him, going once again for another cleanse.
Yeah, so let's revisit the conversation we started before about the junglers. We said that Tian very likely to start on the bottom side path up towards the top side to match Kanavi. And it is going to be exactly what we see. So around 3:30, you expect them to be heading towards that top side. Are you anticipating that we just get them both running into the top lane and we end up with a 2v2, or is it a little more subtle than that?
I think it will be a little bit more subtle, but it really depends on how the wave state goes. If Zoom is able to find some early chunks onto Nuguri and push the wave in, then yeah, they could go for a straight dive. Even with a Volibear around, you can just execute that dive and just kill the Gnar in mini form. So there's a lot of critical points for Nuguri to look for. He has to make sure his wave isn't pushed in completely. He has to make sure of his HP bar, and he also has to be aware of his Mega Gnar stance when Kanavi does show up on the top lane. You do preferably want to be in Mega Gnar. You get more HP, more resistances, and you also have that extra stun to get away from your target.
Kanavi moving into the mid lane. This is such an early gank. Doinb forced to flash away, will survive. But really, really great play from Kanavi to put pressure onto FPX straight off the bat.
And that's the play I was talking about. You can be so brazen with this tactic. Level 2, walk beyond the minion wave. Doinb doesn't even realize what's happening, and he gets tagged by yellow card plus javelin toss. So we can see that in action, and I like this play coming in from Kanavi. He's making sure that Yagao's going to have a roam advantage. He already has the minion dematerializer coming up. So it's going to be a 3-man roam. It's not going to be a 2v2. It's going to be a full 3v1 if JD Gaming really opt in for it.
We'll have to keep our eyes on Yagao. He's level 3 right now, so it'll be a little while before he does hit that level 6 mark. Tian moving up to the top side of the map here as the junglers spot each other in the river and both immediately panic. But we'll just be Tian having to walk away into his own jungle here. Kanavi is on a ward. But it should be the top side scuttle, importantly, going the way of Kanavi, because you can see Yagao roaming away from the mid lane, was able to shove that wave in, and it means that Tian just has to back away and respect the pressure that Kanavi has from his laners.
So I think we will see a double scuttle start from Kanavi once more, and this bottom lane is pushing in like we mentioned. Oh, this is kind of fun. I don't know where Kanavi wants to go with this one, because it's actually very well warded on FPX's side. There isn't an angle that Nidalee can really find going to the top lane, unless she's willing to go around for frogs. So kind of interesting that she's still staying around here.
Yeah, went for the Gromp, and now Kanavi looking for Tian. Oh, didn't quite get the pounce. He was looking for that long-range pounce here. In the meantime, JDG had the push in the bottom lane. As you rightly mentioned, Jinx will outrange the Tristana early on. Can just shove it out.
Around. I can't believe this.
Wait, what? Kanavi's back top again? Now backing on a ward? Kanavi has been in this top lane for so long. We'll try and move over towards Nuguri. Nuguri knows exactly what's going on. This is not happening.
This is kind of hilarious. I definitely didn't expect him to go that all in, and you can just look at Tian's ward. He's dropped double wards on that top tri-brush just to make sure that this gank doesn't happen, but you gotta hand it to Kanavi. He's a very persistent man.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. They're not subtle about what they want to do, and Kanavi very much living up to that exact reputation as he just desperately tries to brute force the top gank. Does not happen for now, and Tian will actually have the advantage when it comes to clearing through his jungle. He's about 2 camps ahead at that point, although the chickens did just get eradicated by Kanavi. So in terms of pace on where they are on the map, the junglers will be about even, but in terms of total camps, it's going slightly in favor of Tian.
Yeah, and we are heading into that around 6-minute mark where the Destiny Gate is going to be available, coming in for Yagao. So I do want to watch this bottom lane. I think this is pretty critical. Kanavi is spotted, I believe, going to the brush. Yep.
If at first you don't succeed, try again. Nuguri, one more hit will finish him off for Kanavi. All of that effort towards the top side is finally rewarded.
Well, okay. I guess that's... This is actually a pretty good zone out position. They're holding the wave, and it's not exactly comfortable for Nuguri to be teleporting in. He doesn't have the flash, has to instantly go for vision. And just watch Kanavi. He's still hovering around this lane. He's still like, I could go for this again. And we do have Yagao slanting off to the bottom side. So he's off the map, and FPX have to play pretty careful about this one. I don't think they can pull the trigger without knowing where the Twisted Fate is.
Yeah, Yagao just TP'd to the mid lane, so they do now know for sure that Yagao is sticking around mid for now. Tian waiting in the wings. TP from Zoom, that could spell disaster. Nuguri's just turned into Mega Gnar as well, but looks like he's going to be safe. Tian's just going to have to recall on this one. So Kanavi down at the bottom side of the map. Dragon has come onto the map already as well, so this could be an opportunity for them because Tian now spotted on a wall.
Yeah, and I really love this play coming in from Doinb. Casually walks away with the Destiny Gate, heads into top lane, and that just forces everyone away from the top side. They know there's a potential for a 3v3 in the top lane. Tian's going to get this second scuttle. In the meantime, Kanavi getting into the jungle, and with this lane constantly shoving up, he should be able to get this blue. Plus potentially getting the Drake as well. This is going to be a bit of a time for Tian to actually head back here.
It feels like Kanavi is like, he's forced Tian to play around this top side permanently, and it means that now he has an advantage to just play around the bottom side instead. He's like, psych, I was down the bot lane the whole time. So Kanavi doing all right in the early game, and when you look at the gold lead right now, it's 1,000 in favor of JDG, which off of, I'm not even sure what, Clement. They have a singular kill. Here we go. Destiny Gate from Doinb. He goes for the 1v1 in the mid lane. Gold card will answer a little bit, but that's a great trade from Doinb.
Yeah, that's incredibly smart. If I don't get to use Destiny Gate, you don't get to use Destiny Gate. He makes sure to chunk out Yagao, and he also knows where everyone is on the map. So I love the idea there of not just putting it to waste and actually just using it. You can't hold on to it forever. You might as well pop it to get full vision advantage.
Yeah, nicely done. We'll kind of just reset to a very neutral state. It feels like a very slow start to this one as Tian moves into this top side jungle here, but Kanavi, not too far away himself, will be on his wolves for now. He doesn't know that Tian's here. Actually, he does. There's a ward. He's fully aware of what's going on. Grabs his wolves and now moves up. Yagao is here, spotted, has the gold card locked in, and Tian respects it, backs away, has smite available, and the blue buff will reset.
This is actually great. FPX should be able to take the 3v3 if that is what comes down to it. Zoom very low already. It already has to use the dominance for that one. So they have to back out of their own.
Nuguri only mini though. Nuguri's only mini now, but I don't think it matters. Is Tian actually going to smite the Gromp away from Kanavi? Can this spear connect? Here we go. Attempt comes through. Spear in's not enough. Tian gets the blue buff. Doinb's low. Are they actually going to commit to this one? Here we go. Destiny Gate flashed away from Doinb. I wasn't sure if Yagao was going to follow the flash there, but doesn't go for it in the end.
Nah, you can't do that with someone with the Kingslayer. You go over the wall, he probably kills you on the way back. So, nice force. At least they get the Herald for their trouble. So, I really like that play from FPX. That was just very well done. They know that Sylas in these close proximity jungle ramps can do a number on Twisted Fate, so they're willing to push it in very, very hard. And I'll be honest, JD Gaming on the timer, they really aren't living up to the pacing that they need to play at. At this point, it's 2 CS advantage on Renekton. That's not really going to do a lot. I think they need to further get their advantage. And Twisted Fate getting his first Destiny Gate down without a kill really hurts this comp.
Yeah, this is starting to look a little bit scary for JDG. I will say they are up in gold ever so slightly, but it's important to reiterate, as you're saying here, that with this composition for JDG, they need to be a lot ahead in gold by the 15-minute mark. They need to be really putting their foot down in this game. We're already 10 minutes in, and nobody's gone for a first strike just yet. As you can see, Kanavi moving towards the bottom side of the map, but as is Tian. We could have a bit of a skirmish, and we have to remember that before this series, JDG had 100% dragon rate since 11.5. Yeah. So it felt like that first Drake was really, really crucial to their game plan. And maybe we'll see that coming true once more, as Drake going to be started here by FPX, but Kanavi's here.
There is so much poke potential from JD Gaming coming down. LWX has to keep his distance. If he takes a spear here, the fight could be over really soon.
All in from Crisp. Loken is here, as is Kanavi, trying to just get DPS down. 1-for-1, support for support here. Kanavi moving over to the Drake, looking for a smite steal. Both junglers even in levels, but there's no smite available for Kanavi. 1 HP, and Tian gets it, now flashes over the wall, looking for a fight as well. Tian isn't that tanky just yet, though. Loken's free firing is out of mana, but Kanavi finishes off 1 kill. That's going to be presence of mind. Loken can start firing rockets once again. In comes Nuguri to try and finish the fight. Kanavi goes down as the flash forward from LWX, and FPX take over the early game.
That was a 5v4. FPX had the extra member coming down, but JD Gaming don't want to give up the chase. So many things going wrong right there. Missing the Drake by 1 HP. That was so insane. And a really good start coming in from Doinb as well. Great explosive cast to find the first kill in on that fight. We'll watch that again as Doinb just goes in, gets the barrel, gets the knockback, gets LvMao down really, really early. And this looked okay. It looked in favor of JD Gaming for a while there as they found the first pick onto it. But just look at that. It was literally 1 HP. Literally 1 HP where they didn't manage to get the Drake. And this was just an over chase. You can see FPX were already pinging Nuguri's position. They know he was going to be coming in a lot sooner than Zoom. And even flashes the javelin toss to make sure that he can get the chase down.
Oh, now we get the play towards top side that we've been talking about all game. Gets the stun down, spear is there. In goes Kanavi to finish the kill. Nicely done by JDG to finally find that advantage. And look at the scoreboard right now. Kanavi is the name of the game for JDG. 3 kills to his name already. He's the guy that has to keep JDG relevant here.
Absolutely massive. He's going to head into the Night Harvester very early on. And he still even has the Herald right here, so should just drop it for the first tower gold onto Zoom. And we are seeing that long lane coming out. Sylas coming in, though.
2v2. Kanavi's just absolutely one-shot. Kanavi doesn't get to play League of Legends today because Doinb's on the scene. Instead, Zoom will walk away, but the tower still goes down. That's the second time in this series where we see JDG lose a fight in favor of getting that tower.
Beautiful point-blank hard crowd control coming out from Doinb. Gets the landing zone cleared at the exact right moment and then lands the stun. So we have JD Gaming getting first brick gold, but I don't think it's really enough at this point. Sylas is pretty fed, and he can't go into this side lane split pushing mode against someone like Yagao. So it's going to be very difficult to fight. I think JD Gaming pretty much have to abdicate one of their lanes. They're not really going to go and match the 1-3-1. They're just going to constantly be trying to pick out the other side where Sylas isn't at. So we'll see how FPX deals with this long lane. There's a lot of pressure here, but honestly, I feel like FPX can actually just shrink back and just, they'll give over some of their jungle, but they can hold on to their outer towers and defend still pretty well.
I think that's the most important thing as well, is that there is actually no rush, right? For FPX, they can chill. They can just kick back, put the feet up. If it goes long enough, things like this Renekton and the Twisted Fate will really stop having as much of an impact. They're quite happy for this to be a longer game. Whereas JDG, it does feel like they have to keep that momentum going. The Night Harvester finished on Kanavi at this point. He will be able to do that, but we need to see him being proactive. We need to see him continue to keep this momentum up in the early game.
Yeah, and a lot of it is going to come down to Zoom. He's the free member on the map that doesn't have to deal with his laning phase anymore. He's going to have to create a lot of pressure for Yagao to find picks. Currently against Sylas, he's not really doing much. He's going to be willing to stand his ground.
There we go, flash away from LvMao, who's pretty tanky with that aftershock. The TP comes through, Crisp is already gone, and this is an easy team fight win for JDG. Flash away from Doinb at the last second. Nicely done by JDG, continuing to build themselves this advantage. Kanavi goes into the jungle as this tier 1 in the mid lane shouldn't be defendable. Nuguri has to back away.
Yeah, that was really well done by JD Gaming. They rotated their bot lane a lot sooner than FPX had anticipated. You can see Doinb was actually just hanging around the corner. Like, he was willing to take that fight because Chris was there, but what he didn't expect was Loken was going to show up on the scene. So, once again, a lot of these fights, because these two teams are super heavy on the kills and rotations, there are going to be a lot of these check situations where one team is willing to all in and just catch the other out because they have more members here. So you see Sylas, Doinb is not even going for a full retreat. He's actually going in on these fights because he thinks he can take it, and then Loken shows up, FPX realize, wait a minute, the party's over, we gotta retreat.
Yeah, with Zoom TPing as well, Doinb just about flashes out at the last second because that super mega death rocket doesn't actually have to hit you. All it needs to do is hit a teammate near you, and the blast radius will still engulf those low health bars. So now Drake onto the map once again. TP this time from FPX. It's not going to stop JDG pushing forwards for a fight right here. Doinb CC chained up. Yagao stuck in the Zhonya's right here. Tian going to jump straight on top of him in the meantime. Look at the backline. LWX once more MVPs for himself. Starting to fight off the meanie the way he needs to go on as the jump resets come on through. Zoom last man standing, who just flees through the jungle.
JD Gaming's pick does absolutely nothing. They tag Doinb there, but there's no follow-up damage. And Loken is caught in such a bad spot. He walks forward, LWX chases him down, even has the red buff, and it's going to be a full ace coming in for FPX.
Yeah, really beautiful stuff from FPX as they chase down Zoom. And in a game that we're saying JDG have to snowball early, they have to keep tempo for themselves. It's FPX that are getting on top of these fights. And remember, this was JDG that started it all off.
This was so well played. Yagao definitely goes in a little bit too hypey, gets pops the flash early, and LWX with a massive solo kill play. Even cleanses and then jumps out again, dodges on the javelin toss. This man can do it all. This is absolutely insane play from the Tristana that's supposed to be countered here. He gets how many jumps was that? That was 1, 2 at the start, 2 at the back. Gets the 4 jump team fight, and then the ace to follow things up.
It's so fun to watch good Tristanas, and LWX is up there with the very best of them. And just a nice little dive at the end to finish the play off as Doinb happy to tank that tower for a bit. Now, FPX looking to accelerate the game just a little bit. It's 10-5 on the scoreboard in their favor. They finally matched the gold difference, and Zoom, he's feeling a little bit of pressure on this top side. In the meantime, JDG gonna answer in the mid lane. Zoom's actually just getting straight up dived. Will be able to dash away. LWX follows him with the jump, finishes the kill off. This will be the top tower. What can JDG do to answer?
Don't think I've ever seen a Tristana finish off a Renekton with the jump damage on a rocket jump. Really interesting to see this one. They are going to push on in. It's actually FPX's onus to respond to this one. There's nothing that's going to stop Tian. You can just keep on pushing here.
Yeah, remember, he just got the Herald not too long ago. This could be a 2-tower push if there was no answer from JDG, but here comes LvMao and Loken to finish these waves off, to finish the Herald off. Actually denies the charge for a second there, but won't be able to deny it for long. And LWX gets a tier 2 as well. So FPX still getting far more out of the play. The tower does survive on about 1 HP. It's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. Anyone can just walk up and tap that one time. But still, important that now both sides of the map pretty much have knocked down all the tier 1s. We'll just assume that mid tier 1 is essentially taken down at this point. Does mean that the map is a lot more open and a lot more susceptible to picks, with things like that Twist of Fate being used.
Yeah, but JD Gaming at this point, they really need to find an angle where their members aren't spotted. the main reason that bot lane play went so poorly for them was because Kanavi and Zoom were just spotted heading down the river. Like, it was a very easy response for FPX and Doinb to be on time with that play. So at this point, I think the only way they can catch out FPX is if they push in a little bit too deep onto the bottom side, and I don't see them really doing that. If FPX are setting up right now is, even if JD Gaming go for a catch onto Nuguri, they can just respond with the Baron. It's a very easy play for them to pull off, and JD Gaming are gonna have to face check. They are gonna have to walk in against this 405 Sylas and hopefully find the angle where he isn't waiting for them in a brush. And look at this, they have to use the Destiny Gate, not for a pick, but just to clear out vision.
Yeah, just a spot where everyone is. Kanavi can move in and get rid of some control wards. At least they have vision control, but LvMao's been caught, dodges the solar flare. Can he get away with this one? No. No, he cannot. He's caught out in the river. He was trying to get vision. And I'm not entirely sure why LvMao was so pushed up, because we could see Kanavi was up on the top side of the map at the time. He was completely alone.
Yeah, this was... I don't know, he's just trying to get vision, but this is going to cost dearly. Once again, the Jinx Rocket is the only thing that can potentially save JD Gaming at this juncture. Nidalee Spear also does a fair bit of damage, but you can see the entirety of FPX are trying to body block.
Flame Chompers in. Loken does have his Jinx.
It's down.
Maybe that's enough to carry a 4v5. Baron already gone as Doinb goes golden. LWX just obliterates Kanavi. What is that damage? Double kill for the young AD carry. And it's going to be another easy fight for FPX. See you later, JDG. Clement, this is looking like a 2-0.
This is looking like a 3-0. If JD Gaming continue to draft and play this way, I always commend JD Gaming for being a very honest team. You get what you see from them, but this is a little bit too obvious. I think FPX, you cannot... It's essentially what JD Gaming are trying to do is they're trying to drive like a sports car through a brick wall and finding themselves denied every single time. This fight was a bit of a foregone conclusion. Really well done by LWX to have the foresight to just join the fight as soon as possible. He is willing to just jump onto Kanavi. He gets the slowdown. His damage is through the roof right now. Even gets the reset to then finish off Twisted Fate. And Loken, this is the problem with picking the Jinx. I don't understand why you go the Jinx here, because there is no frontline protecting the Jinx. She doesn't get to play a standard front-to-back team fight. You don't get the most mileage from this champion whatsoever, and I would have much preferred them just go for something that's actually even more aggressive. If you're gonna go for all-in Twisted Fate, Renekton, and Nidalee, you might as well go for something like Kalista or Varus to back that up.
Yeah, and it's not like Loken is new to the Paris move, right?
Nope.
We saw plenty of Paris from Loken last year. It's certainly not something that's not in his wheelhouse. FPX, though, grab themselves another mid tower here. 5,000 gold lead for them right now. 3 Drakes as well. And that's an important thing to mention, is that JDG, their bread and butter since 10.5 has been all about the Drakes. It's been all about snowballing through those Drake fights. FPX haven't let them have a single look-in on the Drakes this series.
Yeah, it's actually insane. FPX going in once more.
Oh my god, here we go. Everyone just jumps over the wall and JDG are removed from the game. Loken barely survives, but it just doesn't matter. Yagao getting chased. Your towers don't exist anymore, says Tian as he roars into the play. FPX, they're just flexing on him at this point. TP to the cannon to keep it alive. Down go the towers. This is going to be game, Clement.
FPX are looking to break their spring curse against FPX. No longer are you guys the kryptonite. We are going to stand strong as the Superman of the league as they take it to the brink, to the edge, one more game, and they go on through into the semis.
Another beautiful game from FPX. Back to back right there, as they are now 2-0 in this series, and what a way to do it as well. Phenomenal performance so far from FPX, and just to remind everyone of the history between these two teams, the last 2 spring playoffs, it's been JDG that have stopped FPX moving forward. It's been JDG that have blocked FPX in the semifinals every single time, but this time FPX are turning things around now with a 2-0 advantage. you got to feel like they're on the cusp of closing this one out.
Yeah, and every time that Fluidwind plays up against Stake, I think his drafting just goes so weird. I feel like he overthinks his drafts against his former coach, former main coach. So back in the day, he was the assistant coach, while Stake was actually the main stage coach. So that's just I don't understand what JD Gaming is doing. If you go on blue side, the most typical draft that we see is you go for something like Thresh early, you go for hyper carry scaling composition, because most likely you're going to get countered by the red side counter picks anyway. Instead, what JD Gaming are doing is that they're going for all-in compositions on the red side and leaving counter picks for for FPX. And that's just such a risky strategy. There's almost no reason to go for this strategy unless you're 100% certain that you just have the better players on the team. Yeah.
And I think on top of that as well, Tian played that early game really well,
yeah.
right? We saw Kanavi desperate to just dive that top lane, desperate to just force that as the win condition. But Tian was just like, look, if you're going to sit in the top lane, I'm going to sit in the top lane. I'm just going to match you this entire early game. And it did a great job of quelling that early aggression from Kanavi.
It's not hard to keep your eyes on the ball when there is only one ball. That's a lesson I learned from this one. JD Gaming, again, they're going to have side selection on game 3, and I hope for the love of God that they will go onto the red side and actually give Zoom a counter pick and try to play a more standard game. This was a super weird draft. They knew they were in too deep, and then they tried to pull back with Loken's pick on the Jinx, and by then I'm just like, well, why not just go all in? I mean, you're already at this point. You might as well just try to play the early game just full on out rather than go for something like a hyper carry at this point.
Yeah, you've committed at that point whether you like it or not. So you might as well just finish committing. Like, just, you know, you're already married. Why not have the kids, right? We'll see if JDG are going to change things up going into game number 3. The question for me, though, is like, I don't feel like we've seen the required depth of strategy here from FPX, right? Not that's not an insult to them, as in, like, I don't think they've been tested at all. I feel like even if JDG comes into game number 3 somehow miraculously turning things around, I hope they go to red side. I hope they set Zoom up for success. I was predicting JDG coming into this series, but based on game number 1 and 2, it's not feeling good for them at all. And it's not feeling like the same squad that we saw in the regular season. It's not feeling like the same squad that has been blocking previously with this insanely strong top side of Zoom to just completely thwart everything. Because it doesn't feel like they're playing to set Zoom up for success.
Yeah, they're not really letting him get a pure lane matchup. They're actually trying to use Kanavi as the main point of carry in both of these games. The Nidalee and the Lilia, 2 AP junglers going in. And I don't think it's the meta where junglers can really carry by themselves. Jungle experience is a lot lower, and I think things like Xin Zhao and Volibear are far more potent and easier to execute for JD Gaming.
Yeah, bit of a rough one in game number 2 for JDG, but FPX, they're feeling real good as they head towards game number 3 of this series. We'll see if they can tie this one